What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're going over digital daily number 36 for BBCan11, and there's a lot to kind of go over here. We found out who the noms were, who won Veto. Will it change who the noms are? We got it all breaking down for you. Let's just start off with the top of what we know for sure. Ty and Anika were nominated for eviction by Renee. Those were the original noms. It then ended up being in the veto competition. We had Nene, Daniel, Koozie, Anika, and Ty, who all played. It was some kind of puzzle competition, but with a little bit of a twist. They had loved ones there as a distraction. For Nene, it was her mom. Daniel was also his mom. Koozie's sister was there. I wasn't able to figure out who it was for Anika and Ty, so there were still some question marks there. But it definitely was something they were all talking about had an effect on the outcome of the game. It wasn't just like, oh, they were there cheering them on. It actually was a little bit of a distraction for some of them. But let's kind of go conversation by conversation, the important ones at least. We started off with Koozie, Anika, and Daniel, and they were just kind of talking about that veto competition. Daniel saying his mom was there, and he actually wished he talked to her more. He said most of the time he was just kind of silently crying as he's putting together this puzzle. But she was cheering him on. Koozie's sister was saying, the group chat is popping for her back at home. And it really then comes down to where they say, listen, we just need to find, some hidden POV. Daniel's like, we need to get it to make them to make a Canada's vote for one of them to stay. Now they don't want to face anyone. They'll go make their pitches to Renee. And then, it was just kind of like a little bit of a pity party because they know now that Ty has won veto, it will be the two of the three of them up on the block, whether it's Anika and Koozie, Anika and Daniel. It will be two of them up there and one of them will be leaving unless there was some kind of miracle that could happen. Wendy's points? Listen, I'll say this. If the Wendy's points appear this week, of all weeks, right? We've been waiting and waiting for these Wendy's points to kind of like come to fruition and what they're actually going to be. If they are suddenly revealed this week, it may be the biggest production interference in the game we've seen in a very long time. Because it would be there just to save Koozie. It would be on the level of bringing the duos twist back for Rachel and in what was that, BB13? It would be just as much as the Canada's vote on BBCan 2. This would be very heavily handed for production just trying to save Koozie, which, again, look, there's anything wrong with saving Koozie. It's just like, really? All of a sudden, Koozie, who has the most Wendy's points, that's when they show up when she's actually in danger of going. So it would be interesting to see if that does happen. Eventually Nene comes and just joins them in the backyard, joins them saying the backyard is finally open. So they kind of all head out to get some fresh air. Anika and Daniel, when they first head out, are immediately looking for vetoes. They're searching in the grills and in the potted plants and stuff. They're kind of desperate. We end up getting a little convo with Ty and Claudia where they kind of talk about, what will Renee do? Will she put up Daniel? Will she put up Koozie? Ty's like, it really doesn't even matter at this point. And then they also said, I'm not 100% sure, but it seemed like they were saying Daniel only lost a veto by about 4 seconds. And he was very upset because he's like, I just shouldn't have hugged my mom enough that long. If I didn't hug my mom that long, I might have won. Later, we actually find out something that Koozie could have won as well, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Nene, Anika, and Daniel are outside kind of having a chat, and she actually tells them that, Koozie is a threat, right? And she went for a grand instead of winning the game. right? So there was, I guess, $1,000 that you could have went for instead of finishing the puzzle. She went for that $1,000, and that cost her winning the veto. So like she would have won if it wasn't for her doing that as well. So Renee is kind of seeing that. Renee knows that Koozie's the threat and is going to be an issue here. Renee is also worried, though, that if she sends Koozie to the jury, Koozie will like sour the jury on her and kind of ruin her chances at winning in the end. But she also knows it's way better for her resume to get someone like Koozie out than, say, Daniel or Anika. Nene also says that, her and Claudia wanted to get Koozie out, last week when it was Koozie and Hope up on the block. And Daniel's like, I kind of wish you would have said something because we considered that as well. But they kind of all agree, like in the end, it probably wouldn't have made sense for them, just because of the promises they had made to Koozie. And in the long run, keeping Hope as a big competition beast is just a tough thing to kind of be like, yeah, let's do that. Then we get Koozie and Claudia, and she's already pitching to her about trying to stay. This feels like a bad idea, right? Especially like everyone keeps saying, oh, Koozie's got this great social game. She's this and that. Pitching before you're on the block is only going to make people think, oh, you know what? She's playing too hard. She's someone that I do need to get out sooner than later. Because if she's already pitching this hard before she's even on the block, that's a threat. That is someone that you don't want to be sitting on the block next to. So any chance that you have to get them out, you should take it. And plus, Claudia's not even the HOH. You can go pitch to Renee right now. You know that Ty's coming off the block. That all is like, pretty fair, right? But to pitch to someone for a vote when you're not even nominated yet, I don't know. That feels like a little bit too far, right? Feels like a little bit like it's something that's a mistake. And in her pitch, she actually starts with saying how she went and made a $99,000 mistake by going for the 1K, but she knew that would be really helpful for her family, so she went for it. And she only lost by a few seconds as well. She continues to kind of make her pitch to Claudia, basically saying, like, hey, I kind of want to keep the girls thing together, right? Like, let's keep it, girl strong. And like, that really means a lot to me if we do that. Eventually, though, Claudia leaves and Ty enters. But before he does, Koozie again has that kind of, overconfidence thing where she's talking to the camera being like, yes, 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 keep me. And like, I don't know, Koozie, I feel like you're going to be leaving this week. I really have a strong feeling that Koozie's going up on the block and she's going to leave pretty much by a unanimous vote. And she's just been way overconfident this week. It's always the moment when you feel safest and you feel like you're in control and you feel like you are doing well. That's when you're in the most danger in this game. Ty ends up coming in. She kind of asks like, oh, did you talk to Renee? What she's thinking. And he said, she thinks Koozie is strong, but Daniel and Anika are strong together. And that's kind of a worrisome thing. She's ready to throw them under the bus as well. Like she was telling Ty that, Anika wanted you out in my first HOH the week that Zach ended up leaving. And that's why Anika was kind of upset. She wanted to push for Ty to leave. We then get a convo with Claudia and Nene, and Claudia kind of fills her in on the convo she had with Renee, where she says, Renee's leaning towards Koozie. She also fills her in on the convo she had with Koozie, and Nene calls it out. She's like, was she leaning on the girls thing? And she's like, yeah, she was leaning on the girls thing. One kind of interesting little note here, though, is Ty apparently was saying things that might make Renee think that Claudia and Daniel are close. So apparently it was like the three of them in a room together, Renee, Ty, and Claudia. And they were talking about, if Zach was here, what a final six was going to look like. And I guess that included Daniel in there. And then they were talking about, the pick your poison competition and how Ty was saying, oh, there wasn't really any strategy to it. It was just kind of luck. And then Claudia was like, well, there was kind of a little bit of strategy to it, right? Claudia was one of the only ones who full on was just going with the strategy of, all right, I don't want Ty to win, so I'm just going to pick Ty every time. I don't think it was necessarily smart for her game to do that, but it was a strategy she was using. And then Ty kind of was like, well, like, who was left in that competition? It was Daniel, Nene, and Claudia who were the final three, not Renee. Because Renee was Claudia did put Renee's picture up, but she's like, that was mainly because I just knew she had the shot. I could tell. So that could be something that maybe gets into Renee's head of like, hey, maybe I should put Daniel up on the block, just because it is something that I have to worry about, is him getting close to those girls. They then kind of wonder who would be the best to take to a final four scenario. Would Daniel be better or would Renee be better? Anika's kind of locked in. Anika is they're full on ready to drag Anika to the end. Like, they are confident that no matter what, Anika's the right call to be there for like a final three for them too. And they were kind of saying, you know, probably by a competition standpoint, Renee would probably be the better one to take. They also don't know necessarily, you know, if they can even take that shot at Renee and how that would look to the jury if they were the ones to do that. And they said in a perfect world, Koozie will leave this week, Ty will leave next, and then Daniel or Nika will win, and they're able to take out Renee that way. Eventually, Renee joins that conversation, and she just says how she heard Koozie was making their rounds, and that kind of finishes up that convo. Then we get them eating some food, and then we move on to kind of the last conversation of this daily, where it was Daniel and Renee. And he kind of says, listen, like, I've already told you my pitch before this. Everything I said still stands. You know, there's no reason for any of that to change on his standpoint. And he says, listen, if I'm the one that's not on the block, I'll go with whatever you want, right? Like, whoever you want me to vote for, like, I'll do it. It's going to be tough either way because, you know, whoever is off the block has to vote one of their friends out. So it is what it is. But he says, you know, if you have a direction that you want it to go in, he's full on board with that. And he says, listen, if it is going to be me, like, I just want you to be transparent, right? Like, he doesn't want to be like the one that's easy to be put up, right? But if it's him that's, you know, the target, and, you know, he would understand it and just says, you know, I would like to know first if that's what you were going to do. And she says, actually, you know what? No, I'm leaning towards Koozie. Like, I actually think what you're saying to me is genuine. And we can kind of, you know, work together and do something. And he kind of agrees. And he says, listen, with it being like so much where it was like trio versus trio, it just kind of makes sense for him, right? He's going to be losing someone. And then over on the other side, like, he knows that Nene and Claudia have like a really good friendship and a much stronger bond than he has. And he said it would just make a lot of sense for him to try and work with Renee going forward as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It does seem like the replacement nominee will end up being Koozie. It doesn't seem like Renee is going to put up Daniel. She said to him that she's leaning Renee. Anything could happen, though. Anything could happen. And maybe Renee is just lying to Daniel's face right now. Maybe Koozie is able to, you know, keep herself off the block. But if she ends up there, she will be leaving and will not have a shot at winning this game anymore. Ty, though, is just such a threat at this point. He is just looking to win out pretty much. And now going into the double eviction, usually at least one of the competitions is one where you're just sprinting back and forth, right? So I could see Ty winning the veto in that situation if it's something like the clown shoe type comp. If it's one of those ones with untangle yourself from the rope, that also seems like it might be up Ty's alley as well. So it's going to be really tough for them to get rid of Ty here in any of these upcoming weeks. They just need him to lose a competition. The moment he loses, that's when he'll leave. Until then, Ty's sticking around, and it might be best to kind of hook yourself onto Ty, get him to drag you to the end, and then sit next to him, because it probably have a pretty good chance of beating him in the final two. But then that's also scary as well, because then he would have won everything to get to the end. It's basically a Kevin Martin from BBCan 5. Kevin just won all the competitions he needed to stay alive in the game. And he ended up being there in the end with Karen and won. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. What do you guys think of the nominations, the veto, about the potential of Koozie being up there on the block as well? Will the Wendy's points come into play this week? We'll find out. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Check out the links to all of my socials in the description and a pinned comment down below. You can check out my Twitch, my Twitter, my Discord, the new Kick stream. Check out the Kick stream. That's been a fun place that we've been watching Survivor over on as well. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you next time.